Hey guys, I don't know if you guys know me from my GL videos, but you can see it right there. But now I got to do a little bit of work with mine. You see, I'm making the best of my Corona time here. Got my sub box complete. I made about 5.5 cubes and got 2 12s going into the back of my HHR. At the same time, when I completed my wife's car back there, I got her DPF done. I started having cat codes as well. So I done a ZZP tune with catless downpipe. And so I got the stage 1 sensors and the tune, and well worth the money. Today, I got me some of these right here. It's eibach sportline. I'll get you a picture of them. I'll put it right there. That's the kit I got. I ordered them directly from ZZP. I think it was $230 was the price of the kit. I rented a tool from AutoZone, and I'll stick you a picture of that right here. And I'm going to take one of these out here. I'm going to measure the height, because I don't really see too many videos of people dropping their HHRs and knowing what they are. I watched a video of a guy named Landon, not exactly sure how to pronounce his last name, but he used the teen lowering springs, and his looks pretty good, but I messaged him and he actually didn't recommend the springs, so I ordered the eibach instead. They was recommended by ZZP over the teen anyway, so, but that's what I got, and we'll get you some videos of the height here. We'll walk out here. I'll get you some pictures of stock, and I'll show you what the height is. Alright, and here with the tape measure on the height, I am right at 27 inches tall, and this is setting bone stock, so nothing is done, nothing's in it. That's the front, and at the back, as you see, we are about 27.5 inches tall. Alright, here I am now, guys. I got the car pulled into the garage here, got the hood up, and my understanding, we got the 3 bolts here, the same on the other side over there, and got to pop the wheels off, got to get it up on jack stands, but let's get this party started. Alright guys, here with the next step. You guys look right here at your top hat. You want to hit all your bolts with some of this stuff. Okay, you got 3 bolts on this side, on the driver's side. You come over here to the passenger side. Right down in there, there's 3 more bolts. Alright, you want to hit the top of those. You want to hit them with some of this and let it set for a little bit. As well as, when you look down in here, you got, when you look at this, you got a bolt here and a bolt here. Now those are bolts. You actually want to get them from this side over here. You can see, you want to take that nut off, and then there's one right down here, right here below it. But you want to hit those with some blaster as well. And up here, that's where your sway bar is attached to it. So you want to hit this bolt as well, because you have to take this bolt out, the 2 bolts right here, and the 3 top hat bolts. And by God, this thing ought to fall pretty much right out of the car. Mine's a little bit rusty, so I may have to do some wrestling, but It's all part of the trade, right? Take it to a shop if you don't want to deal with that, right? Alright guys, this is some of these bolts are a real pain. The two bolts on the hub, or whatever you want to call it, this assembly right here, this bolt here and the one down here, they're not that bad to break loose. So you just got to get in there. They're all an 18mm socket. As you can see, I'm using a breaker bar. I don't have any of those fancy impact guns or nothing like that. But however, this one right here, this bolt right here for the sway bar, that bolt is a real pain in the butt. I almost thought for sure I broke it when it came loose. Just for reference for you guys, it's tight. So if you got an impact, I would at least try to use it on that. Or if you got an impact, might as well use it on everything. But that's the one bolt that's been a pain in the butt. So thought I'd update you guys on that. I let it soak with PB Blaster for an hour or two, something like that. An hour and a half, something. Been a while. But anyway, just wanted to update you. That bolt sucks. Alright guys, got the strut, as you can see, out of the car. That one bolt that I pointed at to you that was a real pain in the butt. It really was a pain in the butt. I got it broke loose, and after I got it broke loose, I started to pull it out. And once I started to pull it out, it wouldn't come out. And I realized the back of it was spinning. So vice grips would be better, but this is what I had on hand. So had to use this and actually physically grab a hold of the back of the bolt and then run the nut in and out a few times to get it to actually come all the way off. But a little bit of finessing and I got that. Okay, so here's my strut. Okay, got it right here. This is a spring compressor. This is what you'll need to compress the spring. Now it's not real difficult to work with. I'll see if I can't hold this thing into a position to where I can actually show you how it all works. Alright, I'm going to assume that you guys can see. Here's the other part of the spring compressor, right? So it looks like this right here. You got these little hooks. So basically, you have to take this thing and push it up, and then put that over the spring, and then put it back down. Then you take this one, and you gotta spin this thing, tighten it to get it as close as you can to the, just slide it up for you, make this a little bit quicker for you. Okay, then, like I said, pull the thing out, put it on the spring, and then push it back down. Then you're locked on, and then you have to flush this up. Get this down here. I guess maybe I could have done this a little quicker for you guys, but okay. So then you want the two, as you see I got the one on that side, you want them pretty much opposite each other. So you put it opposite each other, continue tightening this thing. I got this at AutoZone too, by the way, just for reference for you guys. Put that on, and it is a 19mm. You can see, I don't know if it'll focus in on that or not, but a 19mm. So you'll have to tighten those up. As of right now, I just have them both a little bit snug. So the goal is to tighten those up. And then inside the top hat here, see you got that bolt and that nut. Or they got the Allen head in the middle of it, an Allen key. I believe an Allen key. Yeah. I think that's an Allen key. But anyway, you got that, and you got that nut. Or that bolt. Or, yeah, the nut right there. You gotta take that off after you get the spring compressed. And then this whole top hat here, this whole top section here will come off. And then the spring will just lift right up off of it. Alright guys, I'm back here again for another update. And as you can tell by the clothing change, it's a different day. The top nut on the shock, for the life of me, I couldn't get that thing to come off. I stripped it out and everything, trying to get it using my big old breaker bar. Right? Don't work. So I tried getting on it with some vice grips, and that didn't work. $50 at Harbor Freight. I highly recommend that step to get the spring off of there, or get the top hat off so you can get the spring off. But that's where I'm at now. And here, I'll show you just a little clip right here. That is the eibach versus the stock spring that's coming out of it. That's what they look like side to side, and then I'll put them in. Like I said, I'm gonna get you updated pictures, but that's where I'm at with it. And once you get the thing off, see what I do with it here. You have this here. You'll see where it come off. You know, the glare of the light there. You see the imprint right there from the spring. You can see it. I'll put a little highlight on there. Right there, that right there is where the top of the spring has to sit. You got to sit that in there right, because if you don't, it'll move around or it won't sit right. You won't be able to see. It won't. It'll eventually probably seat down in there, but that's not always the case. All right, guys. You also have a bump stop right here on the strut itself. Once you get the strut off, right here, see. What you got to do is, if you look, if you pull this protector up, you see that white thing under there? That is a bump stop. So when you hit a bump, your shock doesn't bottom out, or your coil doesn't bottom out. That, you have to trim that down for these lower springs. I'm not sure the exact length, but once I get mine trimmed, before I put it back in, I'll insert you a picture right here of what I made this thing look like. So this is the after, and this is the before, and this is the after. So that's how you need to trim that thing down. That's what you need to make it look like before you put it all back together. And we're going to keep this show going. Alright, another tidbit. As you can see, I've got this one back in now. But when you go to put these bolts back in, you get that lined up. You can see I got the jack under here. You put the jack on the ball joint and use that to raise the ball joint up, and it'll push the spindle back in to the groove, so you can line them bolt holes up, put those bolts back in, and get them in there. Just make sure you guys get them real tight. Alright, quick tidbit too, guys, on these bolts. When you get the strut out, the bolts that goes right here on your spindle, when you knock those out, you got your nut and your bolt. When you go to knock it out, you put your nut right at the end of your bolt. You can see like how I got it right there. I got the nut in the end of the bolt here, right at the end, right at each other. So when you hit it with a hammer, you can knock the bolt out and you don't damage the threads. And if you have it too far out and you're hitting it too hard, you can damage the end of the nut and then it won't thread back on. So just for reference when you're knocking that out. That's how I knocked mine out. I knocked mine out like that, and then I actually have a broken drill bit, and I used that as a punch, because I don't have a punch, to knock the bolt the rest of the way out. Alright guys, now the front's all done, I'm back on there. Right, we got to start on the back, which is a little bit easier of a process. First thing, get it up on jack stands, or if you're fortunate enough to have a lift, I guess use that, but using jack stands. So here we are. The rear end, as you see, the spring is right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to wheel the jack up underneath of it, right up in here. As you can see here, we're going to put the jack right in here underneath of the brake caliper. Not actually on the caliper. You don't want to do that. Put it right here. And jack it up just enough to relieve a little bit of pressure on this spring right here, right? So that's step one. Then once we get that, there's a bolt right here on the bottom of the shock. Take that bolt out. Once we get that bolt out, let the jack down, and said spring should pull out. Or so all of my information says. I guess we're about to find out, ain't we? Alright. Just as a quick reference, guys, you see where it's at now? All you need to do is take some pressure off of the shock. That there is plenty. And in case you didn't see, we'll go back down. Right here is all the way down. That there, see how it moved? That took the pressure off of that spring. So all of the weight of that spring is actually on the jack right now. That's all you need to do. Remove that nut from the shock and then let the jack down. Alright guys, and you got to remember too, when you go to put these back in, you got shorter springs, so you need more room for the spring to give. So there we go. I cut it right at the little round part where it's rounded in. Just cut it right off with that, the extra thing here, and they're not hard to cut. Same thing I use with the front. Takes like 2 minutes with one of these, not even 2 minutes, just a couple seconds really. But you got to cut that down because your spring is actually shorter and you have to give it room to work. I mean, I know that might not seem like much room, but that's maybe an inch of give anyway. So you got to have room if you want your suspension to move at all and not bottom out every time you hit a bump. You want to trim those. That's what those are, as a bump stop. So when you got that at the bottom of your spring, and well, I got it in the spring, it don't want to come out, but basically you got the two pieces in the middle of the spring acting as the top of the spring, coming down every time you know your suspension's given. That hits with the top to keep your, you know, when you're bottoming out, to make it a softer hit rather than a harder hit, because this is rubbery but it's pretty hard, so it'll give you a little bit of a softer hit. But that's all that's for, and you got to trim that down because you want your suspension to still function. And now to the other side. Alright, now for the update guys. As you see, it's still sitting in the garage, but finally on all four. Took me a little bit longer because these right here, I had an issue when I tried to put the spring on the other side, on the driver's side. This bolt wouldn't come out of the bushing, so when it came out, it brought the whole bushing out of the shock. So that's what I ended up with, which is a no good situation. But AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Napa, whatever, they don't carry the bolt for this. I actually had to look up an LKQ and go purchase a bolt. So I'd actually, you pay $3 to get in, take the bolt off. They don't charge anything for a bolt. But as you see, here it is. With the eibach. So now for the fateful trip down the road and back, and then I'll park it out front here and right where it was at, get you some comparison pictures, the same as the 3 that I posted from before, and we will remeasure, see what we got guys. Alright guys, so today is going to be Judgment Day. I've had this thing lowered down for the last couple of days, and it's been sitting in the driveway. It started raining, so I haven't really got to check the heights or nothing yet. But now it's been, the only driving it's done is it's went down the road to AutoZone to drop the spring compressor back off. so it might not be fully settled, but it is what it is, right? It might settle down. I'll come back here in about a month or two, and I'll remeasure to see if there's any settling or, setting down in. But as for now, we'll go ahead and check the heights. And my apologies, it's early in the morning and it is super bright. So, but here we are at the front, and all right, so we are looking right here at 25 3/4 of an inch on the front. And in the back, let's get it down here. We are setting right at 26. So, keeps a 1/4 of an inch on the stance. So, and I guess a view of it here. Is what she looks like now. So, he said it's about a 1/4 inch lower in the front than the back still. Alright, so I had to go back through my videos to see, because I couldn't remember what the height was when we started this whole thing. But so we dropped 1 1/4 inches in the front and 1 1/2 total in the back. And as I stated, that's with the eibach sportline springs. My understanding was the Pro Kit. I've seen some people with the Pro Kit, but the Pro Kit kind of got you the same stock height as the SS already set, and mine is an SS, so I didn't want to pay for springs to sit exactly like I was already sitting. So the Sportline on an HHR SS gives you 1 1/4 drop in the front, 1 1/2 in the back, and like I said, the only place I've been was to return the tool in it, so it might settle down a little bit more as I drive it. And as I said, I will come back in a month or so and remeasure and add an update to this video just for reference, because I know sometimes they can settle down a little bit or break in. As they break in, sometimes they lower down just a little bit more, but that's where we're at. And when I come back with my update, I got this big old speaker box right here, which is really heavy. My subs are 52 pounds each, and that box is double baffled 3/4 inch MDF, and it's a 5 cubic foot box and a big old port, so it's kind of heavy. So once I get that in the back, that might actually level it up. I'm hoping it doesn't make the back sag down extra, because if it does, then I guess I'll probably be trying to airbag the back of it to raise it back up, because the back don't need to sit lower than the front. I might live in South Carolina, but I'm not into that Carolina squat. So there you have it. Be good.